All right, so this is another episode of the R&R Podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Ventura.
And I'm Robbie Avellino. Thank you for tuning in for our second episode.
Yeah, and we've upgraded. The studio's a lot bigger. We got a green screen behind us. We got an actual camera.
We got 4 lights.
Yeah, it's not like the last episode where we were recording in a little closet at the Inspiration Lab. We actually got the full-on big time studio, so this is a huge upgrade compared to the last episode.
Yes, and we're not sweating bullets like last time.
Yeah, there was no air conditioning. I mean, there's no air conditioning in here either, but at least it's better ventilated and I don't feel like I'm inside a sauna.
Mm-hmm. But gotta say, shout out to the Vancouver Public Library for offering this amazing resource for free. All you need is a library card, and they have 5 recording studios here. And what we're recording in now is the biggest one, but if you're just one person, the small one is more than enough size for you.
I agree. And yeah, having access to this resource is super helpful for anyone else that's ambitious enough to have their own podcast. They want to do YouTube videos. If you're a musician and you want to record vocals, this is the place to be. It's free of charge. You don't have to pay. The only thing that you need to dedicate is your time.
Absolutely. Right.
And let's get into today's episode. Today's episode, the main focus is childhood memories. Or actually, you know what? Time out. Hold on. Let's backtrack a little bit. Let's talk just a little bit about the first episode. Big shout out to everyone that listened to our very first episode. I want to give a shout out to my dad and his fiance. They actually listened to the first episode and they gave me a little bit of feedback. They want to know, Robbie, where in the Philippines are you from? Because that's actually one thing in the episode that you didn't tell us.
Oh.
That you didn't tell us where in the Philippines you were from.
Wow. Well, considering that we're talking about being Filipino Canadian, that seems like such a big omission. I was so nervous.
No problem.
So I'm from Manila. I was born in Manila. I was born in kind of outside of Metro Manila in a place called San Pedro, Laguna. And after that, we moved into the city in Parañaque in Metro Manila.
Right on. Did you get any feedback from any family, friends, anyone that tuned in? A lot of people that tuned in, they said that they liked the episode. I mean, obviously, because it was our first episode and it's our first foray into podcasting together, there's lots of things that we can improve on, obviously. And even now, after this, we're just gonna level up, and each episode is just gonna get better and better and better.
And that's what I really love about our partnership. I'm really learning that done is better than perfect. And if you wait until you're absolutely ready to do anything, then you're never actually going to do anything, because we're never ready to do anything ever.
Exactly.
So the only way to get better at anything is just to do it. So
yeah, exactly.
If you have any ideas of what you would want to do, if it's podcasting, if it's recording YouTube videos, or starting to share your music, then just do it. We encourage you, and we're in this journey together. Our first episode was very nerve-wracking for me.
Yeah.
And Ryan has had a lot of experience with public speaking and announcing. So it's really great to be able to partner up.
Yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm, excited to grow the podcast and, adding more episodes. It was a lot has changed within a month, because the last episode that we did was, it was last month. It was inside one of the smaller studios here at the Inspiration Lab. And now we're here in a much bigger studio. And you can see the green screen behind us. Hopefully we can have future episodes, and we can
underwater.
have like in the water. We can be at the aquarium. We can be in
on
space.
On
an island. Anywhere. The possibilities are endless.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. Now, let's go back to the focus of our episode. And today's focus of our episode is childhood memories. Growing up, I guess I'm a product of the late 80s. I was born in 1987. Excuse me, I just burped. I burped again. Sorry. I'm a product of the late 80s and early 90s. I have lots of childhood memories. Let's just get into it. Let's share. What are some of your favorite memories of your childhood?
Well, my favorite memory that immediately comes to mind, it's not one specific memory, but it's just my time spent with my cousin, Justin. He's a year younger than me. Shout out, Justin. So I moved around a lot when I was a kid, and our friendship was really the one constant. I didn't have many childhood friends that have lasted, so he was really my best friend growing up. And whether it's play dates at the mall where we would get left at a daycare, or
That's awesome.
or this place called Storyland. It's like an amusement park inside a shopping mall in the Philippines with like roller coaster and bumper cars, or playing go-karts, or just playing Play-Doh at home, and waking up at 3 a.m. after our grandma was asleep already, and I would sneak out to watch late night television with him on Nickelodeon. Yeah, those were my...
You guys had Nickelodeon in the Philippines?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. What were some of your favorite Nickelodeon shows?
Kenan and Kel.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, Kenan and Kel's awesome.
Was there Nickelodeon here?
Well, we had YTV.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Was Kenan and Kel on YTV?
Yeah, they were on YTV as well. I mean, you had typical stuff like Rugrats, Rocko's Modern Life.
Yes, I love Rocko's Modern Life.
Yeah, Ren and Stimpy. A lot of good stuff.
Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network were our favorites. Yeah. I loved Our Real Monsters too.
Oh, I like that one too. What was that monster's name? He had like the eyeballs in his hands like this.
I can't remember any of their names.
Yeah, neither can I. But if you think about it, a lot of Nickelodeon cartoons, they're very psychedelic.
Yeah, you have to be on some things to come up with some of those stuff. Especially Ren and Stimpy. There were some very frightening episodes.
Yeah, I mean, look at some of the episodes from back then, Ren and Stimpy. That was a lot of stuff that wasn't for kids. Even when you watch SpongeBob sometimes. I like SpongeBob. I'm 31 years old. I like SpongeBob. And I'll watch SpongeBob sometimes, and I'm thinking to myself, this isn't for kids.
Because it's people like you and I writing the shows.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're sneaking in their own little jokes.
Yeah, especially Rocko's Modern Life. But sorry, let's go back to the topic. You were growing up in the Philippines, and you were watching Nickelodeon with your cousins. Did you guys get into video games or anything like that too?
Yeah, we played a lot of video games growing up. Our style of video games were very different, but we still love to play video games together. We like playing Crazy Taxi.
Oh, nice. Dreamcast?
No, PlayStation.
PS2?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Right on.
But we also had the PlayStation 1, and we would play Need for Speed and Gran Turismo. And I would try to get him into Final Fantasy, but he wasn't really that into it. But he allowed me to play it with him.
You didn't have the patience for RPGs?
No, I guess not.
You know what? That's one of the things about RPGs. When I was growing up as a kid, shoot, I'm really burpy today.
That's okay.
I just had a coffee and water and a ham sandwich earlier for breakfast, but
we're real people, you guys.
Yeah, I got the burps. RPGs were my favorite genre for a long time. I mean, I liked Chrono Trigger for the Super Nintendo, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, FF7 for the PS2. That was really cool. But as I got older and more busy and life happened, I couldn't dedicate all the time I wanted to to a good RPG. Even now, like I don't have any time to do it. That's why I like fighting games and quick play games that you can just get into, not play it for months, and then when you get back into it, it's like riding a bike. You remember how it all worked out.
Yeah, with the RPGs, it's such an emotional investment that you kind of need to just smash it out as fast as you can. And you can't really do that these days because you get busy, and then after a couple weeks has passed, you're kind of like, wait, what happened? Where am I?
Yeah,
what am I
exactly.
supposed to be doing?
Yeah, that's the only downside about getting into a game like that. I don't have much time in a day. I have a full-time job on top of the ring announcing hustle, the event promotion hustle. I do the retro video games meet, and now the podcast, and I have a girlfriend, and I have other family commitments as well. Like I like at our age, we should really make time for our parents too. Like I try my best to see my dad and mom and brother, cousins, you name it. So I have like more than 8 things. That's 9. I put out 9 fingers. I said 8. Yeah, I have over 9 things that I have to worry about. But
maybe we can become Twitch gamers so that it's work.
Yeah, I would like that very much. Maybe we can do an R&R episode where it's a Twitch episode.
Games.
Yeah, where we're playing games.
Let's flesh out this video game topic a little bit more because I think that this was a pretty big part of both of our childhoods.
Yeah,
Let's talk more about RPGs specifically. What is it about RPGs that you liked so much?
I like the engaging storytelling the most. Especially when it was a really good Square RPG at the time. I think Square was the master of storytelling with limited tools. If you think about it, being able to tell an engaging story combined with amazing gameplay and a great RPG system, combine that all together. I mean, yeah, Square were the masters of it. I really got sucked into the story of Final Fantasy 8 and 7. FF10 was amazing. FF9, I didn't really get super heavy into it because it was too fucking hard for me. It was really hard. But yeah, the story of FF10, 7, and 8, those were the ones that really got me growing up as a kid. And of course, there's not really much story to this, but I love the Pokemon RPGs. The original red and blue. I was sucked into that, and I spent an entire summer in 1999. I think it was 1999 or 2000. I spent an entire summer playing blue and, making it to the Elite Four and, winning the whole thing.
I have a funny memory relating to Pokemon.
Okay.
So I came to Canada for very briefly in the middle of elementary school because I grew up in the Philippines. And then I came here for 3rd grade. And because my sister was here the whole time and I was in the Philippines, we didn't really have much chance to connect or grow up together. And it was around this time that Pokemon and Game Boy started becoming very popular.
Yeah.
Our grandma bought me a Game Boy Color. It was purple. And,
oh, nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
She took me to EB Games and asked me to choose what game I wanted. So then, of course, I knew that my sister loved playing Pokemon and she had the red one. And I'm a child. I'm 7 years old. I don't know about the trading or anything, all of those systems and the benefit of getting blue versus red. I just wanted to be like my sister, who I thought was really cool at the time. Still do. So I bought the red one and I was so excited and I showed it to her and she's like, "Oh, why did you get the blue one? Now we can't trade." And I was like, so sad. But whatever. Yeah, I loved those games too.
Yeah, me too. Hours and hours and hours spent playing those games. And even now, I can still play it fondly. Actually, you know what? My girlfriend, she still loves Pokemon.
The newer ones? Or?
Yeah, she plays the newer ones and everything. I think there's going to be a new one coming up for the Switch, Sword and Shield. Yeah, we need to get a Nintendo Switch so we can get into it together. Maybe that can be like a couples thing. We both play Pokemon, but the hardest part is trying to find the time to actually play. It's
nice with a Switch that you can actually take it with you.
Yeah, I know. I think that's going to be the future of gaming. Just because nowadays people of our generation we're hustlers, we're goers, right? We don't have a lot of time, especially nowadays. As you get older, I'm having more and more friends that are having kids and starting families and stuff. So, having the Switch wouldn't not only be beneficial for them, it'd be beneficial for their kids.
It's so crazy how much video games have changed since we started playing when we were kids, with the pixelated characters of Chrono Trigger.
Yeah.
To the still pixelated but more lifelike, not really, characters of Final Fantasy 7.
I know.
And now like the hyper realistic, you can't even tell if it's a human or not, of the newer Final Fantasies. And my boyfriend just got a VR headset.
How do you guys like that?
So I've only gotten a chance to play it a few times, once at his friend's place, and once with a new one that he got. And it's amazing. It's so mind-blowing because I think that that's how video games were always supposed to be. It's supposed to transport you into another world.
Yeah.
But with a VR headset, you are in the world. It's so
immersive.
Crazy. Yeah, it's so immersive. There's one game called Astrobot that Mark got me to play.
Nice.
And it's basically like a Super Mario World type situation. And you still use the controller, but you can look around. So it's way more immersive. It's not just like this, but you can actually... the goal of the game is to find the little characters, and you can actually look around. It's really fun. There's a VR
really cool.
bar in Vancouver that you can check out.
Yeah, I would like to try it. I've never been to a VR bar before. I've tried like a few different games. Like I've been to like different... I don't remember which ones, but I was at the Bellosphere Mall in Bellingham, and there was this VR setup, I think, outside of the Microsoft store. And you put it on and you're inside like this spaceship, and you're looking around and you can see like all the other things that are coming at you. I think, down the road we could... I honestly think that we could live to see the day where it's like the Matrix. I don't know if I'd be okay with directly plugging into your brain or your spine or wherever it goes. But I can see it one day where we're transported into a world where we can touch, feel, taste, smell, everything. Right?
That's crazy.
But I think they're gonna need to work out the issues before I get invested in that, because I don't want to get plugged into a world and get so lost into it where I don't even know it's real anymore.
Yeah.
But that might be another topic for another day.
Oh, that is a great topic for another day.
Yeah. Now, we were talking about a few memories, favorite cartoons, favorite video games. Actually, here's a really interesting one, and I just thought about it right now, like just now on the spot. What about something like childhood crushes? I remember in the first grade, I shit you not. I don't know if you're ever watching this episode, like I'm really curious to know like what you're doing these days, just because, you had the most interesting name I've ever heard. Her name was, I shit you not, Angel Heaven.
Angel Heaven.
Yeah, I was in the first grade, Betty Huff Elementary in Surrey. And like, she had like, I don't know what it was, but like, I don't remember exactly, but I remember the name. And I remember she had a crush on me in class, and I didn't even know it until one day on the playground. I was like playing tag, I think, and I fell down and I scratched my knee like really bad and like had this really big cut. And she essentially like nursed me. Oh. Like she took me to the nurse's office, and they got it all patched up and everything with the Band-Aid. But I remember like, I think my first crush in elementary school was a girl named Angel Heaven in grade 1.
And she was an angel from heaven for taking care of you. When
yeah, I know. And that name just sounds so familiar. I hope you're not a stripper now, because like that would because like that kind of does sound like a stripper's name.
Yeah.
But I don't know if your parents really thought that through. But it
sounds
was
like
a cool
fake name, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's not. Like that was her name. When we were in class, I remember being at the class, we're like, that's your name? That's a really crazy name, right? What about you? Do you have any memories of childhood crushes or anyone that had a crush on you?
I don't remember his name anymore, but I remember that he was my partner for my 7th birthday party. This is so silly. In the Philippines, when you turn 18, you have a debut. A girl.
No, isn't that 16?
I think in Spanish culture, it's
it's
16,
the quinceañera. I'm an idiot. Yeah. It's 18.
Quinceañera.
Yeah, it's 18.
But
18 for debut.
Yeah, for Filipinos, it's debut, and it's the woman's debut into society. And I'm not sure why my grandma decided to have one for me when I was 7. She just wanted to give me like a big 7th birthday party called 7 Roses.
Aww.
And looking back, it's kind of like maybe she was worried that she wouldn't be able to give me my debut when I turned 18. Maybe if I was in Canada and she was in the Philippines. And she was never able to, because she passed away when I was 15. But anyway, she gave me a big 7th birthday party. So me and 6 of my female classmates and 7 boy classmates, we all learned how to waltz. And have a cute choreographed dance, and my grandma cooked all this amazing food for everyone, and it was a big party. But my partner that I chose was my crush, but I can't remember what his name is. Paul? I'm sorry. I can't remember, but that was him.
Oh man, that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. It was a nice romantic moment for a 7-year-old with a crush.
Oh, well, okay. What about some embarrassing childhood memories that you're willing to share?
Embarrassing?
Yeah. I guess could we consider anything in high school childhood memories, or no?
Maybe earlier than that.
Earlier than that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because adolescent, like teenage stuff is a different, more extreme kind of embarrassment.
Yeah. I guess trying to remember, like I know there's a lot of embarrassing childhood memories for me. Some of them I don't want to share. my younger brother and my cousins, they for sure would know. Actually, I think some of the most embarrassing childhood memories, in the year 2000, everyone was into like, putting like streaks in their hair, like all the guys, right? We'd get blonde streaks, blonde tips, and we'd like spike up our hair like those guys in like NSYNC.
Backstreet Boys.
Yeah, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC.
Frosted tips.
Yeah, frosted tips. Yeah, I'm guilty 100%. I that was like me back in the day. My cousins and my younger brother at my tita's debut when she was turning 18. I had like they're all making fun of me. They were calling me Ricky Martin because like I had like this like shirt from Le Chateau, and I had like these blonde frosted tips. There's pictures of me out there with this Ricky Martin like haircut. It was pretty whack.
You need to dig that up.
Yeah,
I know. Episode.
I know. It's out there somewhere. I think it's on Instagram for sure, and people were clowning me for it, rightfully so. I'd make fun of me too. And another popular cut in the mid 90s, 1995, we all had bowl cuts. Don't pretend you didn't have one. I had one. My younger brother had one. My two cousins, we all had a bowl cut. I don't know why that was the style, right?
Easy. Put a bowl over your head.
Yeah.
Embarrassing moments. I don't know. I guess the first time that I ever felt self-aware of my body, like, I think that when you're a kid, you just go through and you don't even think about stuff like that. But as you begin to get older and as you get closer to your teenage years, you start to become more aware of yourself and how others might perceive you.
Yeah.
And I remember once we went to this, like a water park resort thing.
How old were you?
Oh, maybe 4th grade or 5th grade.
Okay.
And it's still pretty young, so we went, and I was wearing this black and green one-piece swimsuit, but it had a cutout. And back then, there's no digital cameras, obviously, so we were taking pictures and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then when we got it developed, I looked at these pictures and saw myself like how others saw me, and that was the first time ever that I felt this weird embarrassment about my body. And that's I guess that's one of the first instances where I started to feel self-conscious about my body, and I just felt so embarrassed. Oh my god, like people saw me like that. And I didn't even think that you shouldn't even be thinking about yourself this way because you're so young.
Yeah. Man, when you're young and you don't know any better, like I remember too, growing up, because when I went through puberty, I started to get chubby and things like that. I remember going to the beaches and pools when I was like in the 6th grade and 7th grade, not wanting to like take off my shirt to go swimming, and looking back at that now, I'm like, shit, you're right. Having to like be self-conscious about yourself at that age, that's kind of fucked up.
You're a child, you're supposed to enjoy your childhood.
Yeah, and maybe this will be another topic for another day, but I honestly had a pretty good childhood, but there was a lot of pains in my childhood. Or maybe we can delve into some of it today. I mean, because my parents, they divorced when I was 8 years old. They broke up in 1995, 96, I think. And, growing up at the age of 8, that's a very confusing, thing. Because at the time, there was no one else that had the same problems that I did, or at least that I knew of. And, having your mom and dad split up, it was a very traumatic time. And seeing, the pains that they were going through in their breakup, and then essentially my mom having to raise my brother and me, like, essentially on her own. Because, it was a very difficult and traumatic time. And, I moved around a lot too because of it. It was super tough. It was actually, let's delve into it. What about some childhood pains? I'll start kind of light. One of the most traumatic moments of my childhood, it's kind of funny, is watching The Exorcist. To this day, that movie scars me. My dad, he took my brother and I to the old Hollywood Theater in Kitsilano. They used to have a double feature where they would show like older movies. So the first movie that they had on this double feature was The Exorcist. It was the remastered version of The Exorcist. And after that, they showed the movie that I wanted to watch. It was Romeo Must Die with Jet Li and Aaliyah. Because like I was a big...
It's a weird match.
Yeah, I know. They had like a weird double feature. And I remember like going to see The Exorcist, and that was traumatic. I was afraid of the dark. I couldn't sleep without a nightlight for the longest time because I would have that image of my mind of the possessed little girl in the movie. That really fucked me up.
How old were you?
I was 12. I think it was my 12th birthday. My 12th or 13th birthday, I can't remember. But
old enough to have real fears.
Yeah, real fears of the dark. And this was before, the internet and all that stuff where you can just look everything up. Mm-hmm. So I had all these images just fresh in my mind for the longest time. And, watching Romeo Must Die with Jet Li and Aaliyah, like, it kind of eased the pain a little bit, but that stuck with me for a while. Like, I couldn't, at night when everyone was sleeping, go to the bathroom and everything like that without having the light on.
The scariest part of that movie for me was when she was crawling down the stairs backwards.
I feel uncomfortable just thinking about it just now. Or the worst part when she does the head
spinning.
thing. Yeah.
And projectile vomiting.
Yeah, that was messed up. Mm-hmm. And to this day, it's affected me so much that I don't even want to watch horror movies willingly. Actually certain kind of horror movies. Like if it's like Friday the 13th or whatever, like I don't really mind that one that much. But anything to do with some sort of weird demonic possession, I do not want to watch it at all. I have no interest. Like The Omen or The Conjuring, like, okay, you guys can watch that shit. I'll stay away from it.
Were you brought up religious?
Well, actually, that's an interesting thing too. So, my dad's mom, my Lola, she was Catholic, and she kept trying to like get me, my brother, and my dad and stuff to go to the Catholic church. But actually, from the time I was 12 to 17 years old, I would have identified as a non-dominational Christian because like my dad. He met his second wife. he met his second wife, and she was a non-dominational Christian. So we used to go to like these Sunday church events. I used to go to like Sunday school. I attended. And not a lot of people know this. I think this is like the first time I've ever publicly talked about it. But yeah, I grew up going to what they would identify as non-dominational church, so meaning that there's no governing group like the Vatican or anything like that. It's just basically this church group. They sing songs on Sundays and do sermons and stuff. I went to Sunday school. I went to different church camps. On Fridays I went to this this group where like we would all hang out and play video games and play pool, and there would be like some church music and stuff like that. It was an interesting time. I mean, like I learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about other people as well. But I think I kind of, in my opinion, like it was mainly positive because like I got to learn a lot about myself and a lot about other people. Yeah. But backtracking, did you, what we were talking about traumatic childhood things?
I had a lot of recurring nightmares when I was a kid. Some of my earliest memories are very intense nightmares. I would have recurring nightmares that I would be falling down my Lola's stairs. She had this set of stairs that went like this, and then there was a small landing and then another set down. But in my dream, it was just a continuous, that over and over and over again, constantly falling. Like my feet were almost touching the steps, and I was trying so hard to reach the ground, but it was always not within my reach.
Yeah.
So I had that dream over and over again. And I also had a nightmare where I would be running away from something that I can't see. Oh. But it's chasing after me, but then suddenly my body would stop working, so it would start with my feet, and I can't step, so I would like get down to my knees and I'm trying to crawl, but then my legs stop working completely, and then I'm trying to like elbow crawl, dragging my legs behind me, just trying to get away from this thing, and then suddenly I can't move at all and I'm just totally powerless, and then I would wake up.
And you still remember those dreams to this day.
Yeah.
Wow. That's traumatic.
Mm.
I'm a very deep sleeper. I remember very few dreams. Excuse me, I'm burping again. Excuse me. Yeah, I don't know if I can recall any like dreams from my childhood actually. I think I've gotten to that point where I might have just forgotten them already, which kind of sucks. I wish I could remember those times, but I do have like a lot of, even with all the traumatic stuff that happened to me as a kid, I do have a lot of positive memories. Just spending time with my younger brother and my cousins, playing video games, going biking, playing street hockey with my friends, and
that's
stuff
nice.
like that. Yeah.
Spending time outside.
Yeah, actually, that's something that I don't really see it much anymore. It's also kind of a different time. Gone to a point where we have to like be careful about letting kids out and things like that. I remember, I think I started walking home from school when I was 8 years old. Me and my friends, we had like our own little group. Like, do you watch Stranger Things?
Yeah.
I love Stranger Things. I just finished the first season.
What?
Yeah, I know, because I finally made the time to watch the series. Me and June, we made the time to watch the first season. And I just finished it a few days ago, and I cried because like a lot of the stuff that those kids, minus all the paranormal things, but those kids and their group of friends, they remind me of me when I was young.
Oh.
Because like that's what it was kind of like growing up for me in the early 90s, where a lot of it was imagination and playing games like that and having walkie-talkies and really cool stuff like that. So it really took me back. And
I'm so happy you still have 2 more seasons to enjoy.
I know. And me and my group of friends, we were just like those kids from Stranger Things. After school, we would have our own group. We'd walk home together, and we wouldn't stray away from each other because you're 8 years old, right? And there's strength in numbers. And at the time, I think you had to like, when I was living in Surrey and Guildford, from the elementary school to our townhouse complex that we lived in, there was actually a forest that we had to walk through.
Cool.
So yeah, it was like Stranger Things. Like we would walk through this forest through the elementary school, like from the elementary school to the forest to the townhouse complex, and we'd walk through it together and be like, hey, don't get lost, right? Let's stick together, boys. It was cool. That forest isn't there anymore. It was redeveloped and it's now a condominium complex. But I remember growing up, there was like there was this forest that you had to walk through in order to get home. Yeah.
What a fun place to imagine and pretend and make up stories.
Oh yeah, man. We used to do some pretty cool stuff. I remember building snow forts. We used to do really weird stuff. Like we'd go on adventures on our BMX bikes. Oh, it is like Stranger Things. We'd be on our BMX bikes and we'd go through the forest and collect like sticks and leaves and like, try to build our own little forts and things like that. Mm-hmm. It was cool.
I didn't really get to spend much time playing outside because, I learned how to ride a bike, but it was inside our property, like within the gate, and I didn't really...
This was in the Philippines,
Yeah,
right?
in the Philippines, and didn't really... I don't think I knew any of our neighbors. Mm-hmm. It's a different place there. And when we moved to the city, it's too hectic outside, and there's not really any room to play, so when me and my cousin would hang out, it was usually inside playing video games or at the mall, which is where you hang out in the Philippines.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, just like back in the day too, the mall was such a big childhood thing. Mm. I guess this sort of counts as a childhood memory. I have memories of going to Metrotown back in the day when I was like in the 7th grade, 8th grade.
The arcade there?
Yeah, going to Palladium, going to Johnny Z's. There used to be another arcade called Circus. That was, you know where the TNT is at Metrotown Mall? Right beside it, there used to be this big arcade there. And I remember going there. I remember, just not having a lot of money and paying for the bus and the train. It was like only $1 at the time. So it was a loonie. Mm-hmm. And, I remember like on my birthday when I turned 13, like my mom gave me like $50. And that $50 like actually went a long way back then because, that covered your bus fare. And then, you go to Palladium, you play games for an hour for $20. And then you can go to Red Robin and get like a
strawberry lemonade.
Get the strawberry freckled lemonade, and you can get a combo, and that would cost you like another $20. So you had like a bit of money. This, like that $50 took you a long way back then. $50.
Fun day.
Yeah, it was a fun day. And $50 nowadays, that's the new $20, right? Let's break it down. Like, that's how it is now.
My cousin and I loved going to arcades. We loved playing all the different games. I remember there was the whack-a-mole.
Oh, whack-a-mole. That's my favorite too. Love that one.
And there was a different version, but it was crocodiles instead of moles.
Do you remember the frog whack-a-mole game?
Frog.
It was like a head-to-head game where, like, these frogs, they would pop out of the holes, and then, like, you have to hit them, and then there'd be like this frog like in the front, and then like your frog would go further up the stream the more frogs that you hit.
Oh yeah. I think I remember that.
Yeah.
Did you ever play? Was there ever the Big Berta? She was like this big doll with her mouth open, and you're supposed to shoot.
Yeah. That's so weird. That's so strange.
That was fun.
But it was fun. I remember they also had another similar one where it was like a clown, and you had to like knock its teeth out with the baseballs. That's actually really dark.
Yeah.
That's kind of
violent.
That's pretty violent, actually. Yeah, that was fun.
Those were the days.
Those were excellent days. I don't know if you grew up going to. Do you know Crash Crawlies?
What's that?
So Crash Crawlies used to be like this place. I think it's still in Coquitlam. I don't know what it's like now, but it was a family fun center. So you'd go there and you could play laser tag, and then they'd have like these little miniature cars that kids can drive around. And there was a ball pit, a slide. There was arcade machines, of course. Like, some of my favorite memories growing up was going to Crash Crawlies with my cousins. That was really cool. Yeah.
Sounds fun. Did the adults kind of let you have your run?
Yeah, the adults would let us have our run, and I'm pretty sure the adults were sneaky and they brought like some booze or something, and they're drinking out the cups, pretending it's nothing. Chuck E. Cheese too. I used to go to Chuck E. Cheese as well. Do you know Chuck E. Cheese?
I've only heard of it, and I've never gone to a Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah, there used to be a Chuck E. Cheese where the Lougheed SkyTrain is now. And yeah, they had like Chuck E. Cheese was awesome. That was like one of the earliest arcades that I can remember, and they had like all these really cool pinball machines, and they had really, 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 really amazing games. I had some of my earliest video game memories are at Chuck E. Cheese, hands down. Yeah, I like that. Chuck E. Cheese was good. What about some favorite childhood movies?
Oh, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Wow, I haven't heard that one in a while. I loved Honey.
Spy Kids.
Spy Kids was good. That's a little bit more my brother's generation, I think. But I like Spy Kids.
That's later on.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
The first Jurassic Park was magical. That really captured my imagination growing up. They don't make movies like that anymore.
No. I also really loved watching the Rugrats movie in theaters.
I watched that in the theaters as well. Yeah, the Rugrats movie.
And the Pokemon movie.
Yep,
I cried.
I cried. Yeah. When Pikachu brought everyone back to life, that was so cool.
Yeah.
Right?
I actually cried in a Pokemon episode too.
The Butterfree episode?
Oh, that one too.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of the one where Ash sees Pikachu finally meet other Pikachus.
Yeah, and he wants
Pikachu
to leave him.
is so happy. He's like, "You're so happy here. I want you to be happy." And he starts walking away. And then there's the slow motion. Pikachu comes and they have a slow motion running hug, and I cried. Yeah,
I remember that very well. What other childhood memory? I guess they're not really kids movies, but I liked them growing up. I love the original Indiana Jones trilogy. Growing up, those were some of my favorite movies of all time. Like I love The Last Crusade. That was a really good one. The Goonies. I like The Goonies a lot. Did you ever watch The Goonies?
No, I still haven't.
You never watched The Goonies?
I know.
Okay, if you like Stranger Things, a lot of Stranger Things was influenced from The Goonies.
Because they're the four little kids.
Yeah, the four little kids going on a crazy adventure.
Okay.
Right, so, I love the Goonies. I guess the original Star Wars trilogy, but I'm not super heavy into Star Wars as much as I used to be. Not because I don't like it, but because not a lot of time. The original Spider-Man animated series, that was amazing. That was really good. The X-Men animated series was amazing as well. Actually, some of my earliest childhood memories was begging my dad to rent anime. So
which anime?
So some of the earliest memories of watching anime were I begged my dad to buy the Street Fighter 2 animated movie. That was one of my earliest memories of anime. watching Ninja Scroll. Ninja Scroll is not for kids, but like I was 11, 12 years old when I first watched Ninja Scroll. And watching anime back in the day was different too, because you didn't really, you basically watched anything that was Japanese animated. It didn't matter if it was Sailor Moon. It didn't matter if it was Dragon Ball. You watched it because of the animation style, and all of it was dubbed. We didn't have the luxury of subs like you guys do now. So everything that I've ever consumed was dubbed. And actually, one of my favorite memories of my childhood was in the 3rd grade. My dad used to wonder, why are you watching Sailor Moon? Like, because I like, one of the highlights of my day would be after school, I'd go home, watch YTV. There used to be this section of YTV. It was from, I think, 3:30 to 6 o'clock. It was called The Zone. So they would have like different programming. So they'd have Power Rangers, they'd have Sailor Moon, they'd have, I think, Samurai Pizza Cats. You ever heard of that show?
Mm-mm.
You never heard of Samurai Pizza Cats? That was one of the earliest anime memories I've ever had too. But Sailor Moon, I used to get into Sailor Moon because all the other girls in my class, they all watched Sailor Moon. So me being 8 years old and smart, I'm like, oh, the girls like Sailor Moon? All right, I'm going to get into Sailor Moon too, so I can watch it and have something to talk about with them.
So smart.
But my dad didn't see it that way. He's like, why are you watching this girls show? I'm like, well, Dad, I want to get into this show, so like I have something to talk about with the girls, right? And you know, the next day we'd be like, oh, that was amazing when Tuxedo Mask, rescued the girls and all that kind of stuff. And yeah,
and they were impressed.
Yeah, exactly. So like I was like one guy talking to 5 girls about Sailor Moon.
So who's really winning here, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Sailor Mars, man. Yeah.
I loved anime. I started liking anime when I was grade 7, so I was maybe 12 or 11.
Was it dubbed in Tagalog or
No? In the Philippines, actually, there was English subtitles.
English subtitles?
Yeah.
So Japanese but
Japanese
English
has English subtitles. I mean, some channels had that, and some were dubbed in English, but I always preferred with the English subtitles.
What were some of the earliest shows that you watched?
The earliest ones, Rurouni Kenshin, also known as Samurai X.
Oh, cool.
Have you heard of that one?
Yeah, I have.
What's it called? This one, Vanguard. They're about space fighters, and they have...
That was a very common thing during that time.
They have these spaceships that also turn into fighter robots.
Yeah.
Like
Gundam.
Yeah, like Gundam.
Like Gundam, yeah.
And Neon Genesis Evangelion. I think it's like that too.
Yeah. That was really good. What else do I remember? Of course, Dragon Ball. There was Escaflowne. I really liked that one.
Oh, Escaflowne.
Yeah, Escaflowne was really good. That was actually really, really good. I know June. She loves. She grew up on not Naruto. Fuck, she's gonna kill me for forgetting Inuyasha. Yeah, June loves Inuyasha.
I watched Inuyasha too.
Yeah.
And Cardcaptor Sakura, of course.
Yeah,
and Sailor Moon, of course.
Yeah. Cardcaptor Sakura. That was quite good, actually.
That was really good.
Yeah.
And what else?
Of course, Dragon Ball. I think for an entire generation, Dragon Ball really like influenced a lot of us.
I never watched Dragon Ball.
Did you have any cousins that watched it? Of course.
I don't think Justin watched Dragon Ball either.
Really? That's rare. That's rare. For many young boys during that time, yeah, Dragon Ball was life. Dragon Ball was life.
Still is life.
Yeah, still is life. It was, for me, it was watching Dragon Ball and watching pro wrestling. Right?
I just loved these. I've always loved stories. Going back to what we were saying about RPGs, I totally agree with you. I love immersing myself in these worlds and getting to know these characters and these complicated storylines, and that's why I loved RPGs, and that's why I love animes with a complicated storyline that I can really sink my teeth into and get extremely obsessed with. Of course.
Yeah, me too. I wish I had more time to invest into those games. I mean, I have like an Xbox One at my house that pretty much is used for just watching Netflix and YouTube, which is sad. And my brother, he bought a PS4 for me on my birthday a few years ago. I probably played it for no more than 3 hours, which is really sad because there's a lot of really good games on it.
But when the Final Fantasy 7 Remake comes out, I'm going to make a point to just have a bunch of work done so that I can devote a couple hours every day.
You should stream it.
I do want to stream playing the original FF7 leading up to the remake, and then also streamed that one too.
It's going to be interesting too because their take on the modern FF7, it's obviously if you finish the game, you know the story, right? You already know like what's going to happen, but now just the elements are different. They're changing the system. The graphics are completely revamped, of course. It's going to be a different look. So one part of it is going to be a little bit nostalgic and another part it's fresh. Right?
And they're going to, from what I heard, that it's not going to be the exact same storyline. They're going to flesh out certain parts and give you a little bit more information based on the other Final Fantasy VII franchise. Yeah. For those listening that have no idea what we're talking about, Final Fantasy VII is one of the biggest RPGs ever.
I think most people would know about that.
Yeah.
But no spoilers, though.
No spoilers.
I was going to like say something like, hey, I can't wait to see what that's going to be like in the remake, but I don't want to ruin it for anyone that's never played it. Because there's so many parts in that game where you're like, I can't believe they did that.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Right? Yeah, right? Yeah, that's a really good one. I liked FF8 as well. I know there's gonna be an FF8 remaster.
Yes. So
right?
what does that mean? They're gonna.
So I think they're gonna just they're not going to remake it. They're just gonna touch up the graphics a little bit, maybe like change up a little bit of the text, because I know. Initially localizing FF7 and 8, there was some like mistakes. Like for example, Eris in FF7 is actually Aerith. Right? They fucked up in translation, and instead of calling her Eris, it was Aerith. I mean Aerith, it's Eris.
So it was originally supposed to be Aerith all along?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Aerith all along, right? But yeah, no spoilers. FF7 was a hell of a story. It still is.
That was my first email address ever. Eris with an S. Eris Gainsborough at what was it? Revolution.com or something?
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I had a Hotmail address back then. I think here's a good childhood memory. Let's get into this.
Okay.
My first email address, I think, was shortguy15@hotmail.com, because I was really short when I was young, right? I was really short. The internet was such a... Well, okay, what was your first experience with the internet growing up? Do you remember having to use dial-up?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it's really cool, first of all, that we're part of a generation that can remember time before the internet.
Oh my God,
That's so crazy.
That is nuts.
But yeah, I remember we had a big, bulky PC, and I'll never forget the sound of dial-up. It's ingrained in my memory forever.
Yeah, that sound. I still hear it sometimes because at my actual full-time job, we do faxes often. And the fax machine has that sound. Whenever you're sending out faxes, it has that old 50K modem sound,
I can still picture the bar trying to send the signal.
I know. I remember watching that. Okay. Like, all right, I'm going to connect to the internet. Don't pick up the phone. If you pick up the phone, you're going to ruin the connection. That was such a design flaw, if you think about it. Like, picking up the phone would fuck up your connection.
Yeah, but now look at our phones.
I know, we're attached to it. Black Mirror. Right? Yeah. Gaming online back then was an interesting task as well. I remember the early days of doing LAN parties. Playing Doom and Counter-Strike through LAN and StarCraft. For the record, I suck at those games. I suck at Counter-Strike. I suck at Warcraft, StarCraft. Even though, like, I liked playing them, I wasn't good enough. Like, some guys that used to play back in the day, they were so quick. They had all their shortcuts and everything all planned out, and that was too much for me. Too complicated.
I tried to play. I was friends with a group of guys who also like to anime and play video games in my last year in the Philippines, and we would sometimes go to an internet cafe for an hour and play Counter-Strike. I was never good at it, but I just wanted to play.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, back in those days when you were young, I mean, even if you weren't really that into it, you just kind of were forced to, just because your friends were into it and you wanted to like see what it was. Yeah, it was a social thing. Yeah, I'm even to this day, I'm still not a FPS guy at all. Not even a little bit. Here's another good internet memory. Do you remember building your own webpage? Did you ever used to do that?
Yes, actually, in 4th grade, we had a class that taught us the basics of HTML.
Ah, yeah,
and
cool.
so we had to create our own very basic web page, and I learned how to add images and how to make your text centered. And it was actually very useful because from that base, very simple knowledge, I was able to learn very basic coding. Do you remember Zanga when we were in grade 8?
Oh man, maybe one day we can talk about this, but I had a very, very detailed Zanga blog that I kept from, it was a big chapter of my life. I would say from the time I was 15 to the time I was 18, I kept a very detailed Zanga blog, and I pretty much put myself out there at an early age for my friends and family and anyone who wanted to read, they could read it. I think I have, because Zanga went down recently, like maybe a few years ago.
Oh, really?
I don't think it's up anymore.
That's
sad. Makes sense,
Yeah.
right? I think the days of blogging are almost kind of over. I mean, but by no means everyone support your blog, but like it's not as big as it used to be.
It's different.
Yeah, it's
because
different now.
back then in those days it's kind of like I did this, but now it's more, a blog is more focused topics.
Yeah,
whatever topic that
exactly,
you want.
exactly. Whereas back then it was essentially a journal, and it was a way to express your feelings. And yeah, I documented a big chunk of my life in high school, and I guess in my early days as an adult, you know, I documented myself there and I saved it. It's on my hard drive, all the posts. But
it's really good.
Yeah, but I remember building websites on GeoCities and Angel Fire. I can't remember. There was also this service. Was it Alta Vista? No, Alta Vista was a search engine, right? Remember, there was so many different ones. Before Google, there was Yahoo. Alta Vista, Ask Jeeves. You remember Ask Jeeves? and back then too, because the internet was such like a wild place at the time. Whenever you did like school papers, a lot of times we were recommended to not even like use internet research for our pieces. You know, because like, you know how you would at the end you'd have to state your source, right? And a lot of times I remember my teachers, they didn't accept a lot of different internet articles. It had to be from an official source like the province or something, you know,
or an encyclopedia.
Yeah, wow, encyclopedia. Those were, you know, I spent a lot of days growing up before the internet reading encyclopedias.
We had a set.
Yeah, my Lola, my Tito's mom, she had a set of encyclopedias, and my dad actually, we had a set of encyclopedias at his place too. Yeah, and I read so much, like, just because you didn't have internet, and you know, whenever you were bored growing up, it's like, all right, let's go grab letter A and let's look at what's interesting about letter A, right?
What things can I learn? Let's start with the letter A.
Yeah, I know. Like, I learned about like apricots and, you know, things like that. And the funny thing is now, you know, I still actively just, whenever I'm curious about something, I'll go on Wikipedia and I'll just look at it.
Go on a Wikipedia spiral.
Yeah, exactly. I've gone through many Wikipedia spirals like that. The entire Wikipedia thing was really a game changer for the internet, I think.
I remember when we first got our computer, we also got this. It's like a CD version of the encyclopedia.
Encarta.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember Encarta.
And even then, I was so mind blown. I was like, "Wow! I don't actually have to look at books. I can just search it on here."
Which, in many ways, it was actually, Encarta was kind of a really good idea before the internet was a big thing. I remember they used to have like yearly editions of Encarta for your computer, and Encarta was a very legit resource for, you know, school projects and things like that back in the day, before we had access to Wiki and, you know, all these other sources that we can now use. I think nowadays, especially in today's age of the internet, it's actually never been a better time to be able to do research. The problem is not a lot of people do it. They take a lot of things that you see online at face value without, you know, looking at alternative sources and, you know, comparing stories.
Yeah. People just read a headline and they're like, "Oh, that's true."
Yeah, which is wrong, and that's not the way I was taught in school either. Because I remember in social studies class, you know, we were always told to, you know, look at multiple sources and make an
question everything.
question everything and make an educated decision for yourself. And, I feel like in today's generation, in my personal opinion, that, somewhere down the line it's getting lost, and we're more worried about upsetting people or pissing them off. Whereas, what's wrong with having to, look at alternative facts and looking at different sources of information? That's the way we were taught growing up as kids. And why aren't we teaching that now to the current generation?
Yeah, it's hard. I feel like it's being moved away from original thought, and we are being shown things that we are wanted to believe. Mm-hmm. So it becomes a lot harder to even make the informed decision if there's not enough information out there to make an informed decision on. So there should just be more awareness, and you're right, it should start at home, it should start in the schools, and we should continue to tell everyone to just keep questioning everything.
Yeah. That's in Stranger Things too. Mm-hmm. Remember the teacher, mm-hmm. question everything.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, continue.
I just had an idea for something that we could maybe talk about. A little bit of a prompt. So I think that a lot of our things that we like to do when we were kids, our childhood interests and fun things that we did, hold lots of hints to how we could live a most fulfilled life. What would those be for you?
For me? Mm-hmm. Approach things with, childhood enthusiasm. I mean, with all the different passions and projects and things that I'm involved in, I'm very enthusiastic and passionate about it just because, I remember what it was like for me, growing up as a kid. I remember we were talking before the show. I was talking about going to the Capital City Arcade in New West. Big shout out to the Capital City Arcade in New West. They're an amazing place. When I walked in there, it felt like I was walking into a time machine, and all of a sudden I was transported back to the time when I was a young kid before internet and everything, and I got to see these machines and lights and sounds, and approaching things with, I think, a childhood curiosity, enthusiasm, is really fruitful and beneficial. I always feel happy doing things like that. Even when I do things like ring announcing or promoting events, just doing it with that kind of enthusiasm and love, it makes a world of difference, and I feel better about myself. Even when I'm doing things like the different workouts that I do, I do it with that kind of enthusiasm. It's much more enjoyable.
And when you have that childlike enthusiasm, you're usually not overthinking things to death.
Yeah, you're just diving right into the pool without thinking about it. And that's one of the things that you should always be careful whenever you're approaching anything, but when you're a kid, you're so much more fearless. Mm-hmm. You're so much more fearless, and I would say you're more open-minded as a kid because your mind is a fresh slate of paper, Mm-hmm. And the older that we get, the more that we have these, preconceived, thoughts that we already have, and, we already have our ways of thinking, and, there's always room for improvement as adults, but as a kid, everything is fresh, and, you're creating the building blocks of what you're going to be like as an adult, right? So, just approaching life with a childhood enthusiasm and, curiosity, I think that's very valuable.
For me, the interests that I had were a lot to do with art. I remember when I was 5, we had a whiteboard, and
that's cool.
I had maybe 4 different colors of dry erase markers, and I would draw over and over again. I would just make a scene and then erase it, or try drawing a person and then erase it. And I guess that was a hint, because to this day I still love to draw and paint and make art, but somewhere along the line I just stopped trying, and I just thought, well, I'm not going to become an artist. I just assumed in my head I'm not going to become an artist, so why should I place time into it? But now I've been really trying to do more of that, and I find myself so happy when I do it, and it's almost a meditation for me. And I just had to go back in time and think of what I like to do as a 5-year-old, and it's still something that I would like to do now. Another thing that I loved when I was a kid was reading. So that was one of the first things that I got into. Yeah. Even when the internet started, I would go online and read fan fictions about my favorite video games.
Oh, that's cool.
To try and expand the stories that I loved. And I remember I was like, I'll try writing my own stories too. So on my Microsoft Word 96 or 97, I don't know, maybe 98. I would type it up, save my stories on a floppy disk, and then work on it again. And I kind of stopped trying creative writing for a long time, but that's something that I love to do. And now I'm starting to try to dive more into it just for fun, and it feels really great.
That's awesome. Well, going back into reading, what kind of, other than fan fiction, did you like to read novels?
Yes.
Did you like to read children's books, of course? What'd you like?
Well, I loved the Harry Potter series.
Okay.
But before that, I was really into a series of books called The Babysitter's Club.
Oh, The Babysitter's Club. They had a movie too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, back in the day. I liked, I read some of the Babysitter's Club's books, but I remember them. Yeah.
I was obsessed with them. I had so many of them. That and the Sweet Valley High.
Sweet Valley High. Wow, that's something I haven't heard about in a long time. Wow.
The Wakefield Twins.
Let's see, what else did I like to read? I like Goosebumps.
Oh, Goosebumps, yeah.
I liked reading Goosebumps. Do you remember Choose Your Own Adventure books? I love those. I really liked reading certain children's books as well. I loved reading Dr. Seuss. Mm-hmm. I think there's a picture. My mom told me that I actually could read at a really young age. Like I used to, when I was being potty trained, I used to have like a Dr. Seuss book with me while I was potty training.
That's so cute.
Yeah, and I'd read like ABCs and Green Eggs and Ham. Those are some really good books actually for kids. One of my favorite books growing up, it's actually a famous Canadian children's book. It's called The Hockey Sweater. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
The Hockey Sweater is a famous story from Montreal about a kid who's a diehard Montreal Canadiens fan, and all of his other friends, they would all wear the jersey of, he was a legendary hockey player. His name's Rocket Richard. All these kids would wear a Rocket Richard jersey, and he begged his mom to order him a Rocket Richard jersey, but instead they sent him a Toronto Maple Leafs jersey.
No.
Which is bad. If you're from Montreal, they hate that team. So, he in the story, he would wear this Toronto Maple Leafs jersey because his mom made him wear it. It's, she paid a lot of money for it, and it's brand new, and all the kids would make fun of him for it, and then in the end, he would like denounce the jersey and everything. It was a really big children's story that I really enjoyed. What else did I like? Oh, it's not a book, but I liked reading Archie.
I loved Archie too.
Yeah, I loved reading Archie. Archie was really good, and I think me and my cousin Sean, we used to, collect comic books when we could, but it was never a hobby that we stayed consistent. Because as you know, with comic books, like the story, it goes through so many different iterations and everything. It was hard to collect comics growing up. Yeah.
My sister and I loved Archie comics. They're so expensive now.
Yeah, Archie comics are super expensive. And yeah, Archie was cool. I used to, do you remember the Archie Club?
Archie Club?
So whenever you would read these Archie comic books, they had something called the Archie Club, where if you collected like a certain amount of comics, like it would have like this like a coupon. And like if you have like a certain amount of coupons, you can send the coupons to like the publisher, like via mail, and then they would send you like merchandise back.
Oh, that's cool. Right. I remember seeing those ads inside the comics. They also had candy ads.
Yeah, lots.
Yeah.
And like I think my tita, she was part of the Archie Club, and she had like this really cool Archie sweater. It had like Archie's face in the front of it, and when she got older and it couldn't fit her, she gave me the sweater. So I had like this Archie sweater.
That's really dope. Cool.
Yeah.
Do you still have it?
Oh, I wish I did. I wish I did, because that was actually a pretty cool sweater, and yeah.
That was one of the first websites that I frequented, the Archie Comics website.
Yeah.
They always had Easter eggs on the front page, and there's a certain secret part that you can click, and it'll take you to a secret page. Yeah.
For the longest time when you're growing up, you're like, is this guy gonna settle with Betty or Veronica? Like, make up your mind, man. I like Jughead.
Jughead's my favorite.
Yeah, Jughead was my favorite because he would eat everything and not get fat.
I like his crown hat.
Yeah, me too.
The reason why I'm blind, I'm really blind. I'm wearing contact lenses today, but I'm very nearsighted, so if I don't have my contacts to be able to read words, I have to be literally this close to my face. But the reason why is because I used to read in the dark, under the blanket, in moving vehicles, in the shower.
Yeah, you read in the shower?
Yeah, I don't know. I was a very obsessive child.
How does that work? So like you would have one arm out, like at the curtain?
I would just be like kind of facing away. The water would be here, but I was facing away, so I'm still like enjoying the hot water. I never heard
of that before.
But reading.
I know about, obviously we've all read in the bath before. Mm-hmm. That's a normal thing, but I've never done that before.
That's why my Harry Potter Chamber of Secrets book is
so
ruined.
It's ruined. It just it was wet.
Yeah.
From shaking showers.
Yeah, I couldn't stop reading.
That's awesome. Well, that's good. I mean, I should really like make an effort to read more. I mean, like I read a lot of non-fictional stuff, just facts, but I don't read many stories like I used to. June loves to read. She loves reading books. Right, but I don't know. That's the thing. That's the thing about being an adult. It's hard to enjoy long stories. That's why it was so hard for me to get into Stranger Things until I just dedicated. I actually had to like dedicate. Okay, I'm gonna watch one episode today, and that's it. Mm-hmm. Right, and I became hooked to it. Mm-hmm. That was that. In fact, like I think that movie is like a very. It really reminds me a lot of my childhood, just minus all the paranormal things that happen in the show. Yeah.
But if there was a giant exorcist girl bothering you in your dreams. That still haunts me to this day. But I think we're going to have to cap off the show. We're a little bit over time. We had a really good episode today, a great conversation. We've leveled up with this new space and this new studio. And confidence. I feel so much better.
High five.
Yay!
Yeah,
yes,
good job.
It was a good high five too.
Yeah, good job. So we're gonna basically we're gonna try to do this a minimum every 2 weeks. The most ideal thing would be to have an episode once a week, but summer has been crazy. You have lots of crazy things going on with your career and your relationship, and
same for you,
same for me. So to be able to dedicate this time and have a good conversation, this is what it's about. And the next episode, what do you want to talk about next episode?
Well, there was a couple of things that we mentioned earlier in the episode that might make for a good topic, so we can think about that.
Okay. Well, if any of you out there watching this episode have any suggestions, feel free to leave a comment on our Instagram page. We need to not slack on our social media. It's so hard. You manage so many different social media accounts, and I manage like 7 of them too. Right, so we got to we'll do a better job being
It's okay.
active.
We're just starting, and we're just getting our feet in, and we're getting to know how this whole process works and everything. We just have to trust the process. And
exactly.
It'll all fall into place.
And just do it. And one of my hashtags. Remember, consistency is power. And anything that you do, if you want to. Whether it be working out, doing a podcast, if you want to get better at something, you just have to consistently do it and keep doing it, even if, your mind and your body says, I'm too tired to do it. You just have to make the effort to do it if you want to be good at it.
Just do it.
Yeah. Maybe that can be another episode. We can talk about the importance of being consistent. I don't know. Right.
That's
well, until the next episode, my name is Ryan Ventura, and this is
Robbie Avellino. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening. Take care.
Take care.